Okay, it looks like we are officially live here. So we're going to give people a few minutes to just kind of join in for this interview. But I know that we have had a lot of questions about SideDoor specifically within our Facebook group. So we thought, let's just bring in Chad. Let's just bring in Chad and have a conversation about this and see if we can answer all of your questions. So we're going to go ahead and just maybe I'll wait for a minute or two, just see if we can get a few extra folks in, and then we'll kickstart into this interview. But for anybody who is in, can you just give us a quick tech check and just let us know if you can hear us and if you can see us? Oh, here we go. All right, they're coming in now. All right, awesome. So it looks like tech-wise, we are all set. Whoa, all right. Good to see you guys. All righty, so it looks like the tech check is working. We are good to go here. So for anyone who does not know Chad, Chad is the Director of Sales at SideDoor, and he's also a seasoned entrepreneur with a proven track record of starting, growing, and selling companies in the home furnishings industry. And we're really excited to have him here. So he's going to be talking to you guys about SideDoor, what it has to offer, and how you guys can use SideDoor with your design projects. So thanks so much for joining us, Chad.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, I thought maybe before we kind of dive into the specifics for what SideDoor is and what it does, I just thought we could maybe just kind of quickly talk about SideDoor's reason for existing. What is it that you guys are really trying to solve, and what are kind of some of the big challenges that you see designers dealing with today?
Yeah, well, there's a bunch of them, Sheila. I know you're well versed in this. We can't solve all the problems. The one we're tackling is what I think is just a fact, and that's most designers really struggle to monetize their business. Stats vary, but the one that I like to quote is $77 billion worth of purchasing is done by designers in North America, the US and Canada. So that's how much product is being specified by creatives, you guys, the tastemakers out there. There's another stat that last year, $55 billion worth of home furnishings transacted online. So I don't want to presume anything, but $55 billion did not go into the bank accounts of interior designers. It went into the bank accounts of course, Amazon, Wayfair, Houzz, et cetera. The big e-com is just the reality of this new digital economy we live in. So the kind of impetus for SideDoor is to help designers compete in the changing digital economy. The industry, which I've been in my whole life, is changing. It always changes, but it's really sped up, especially the last couple of years. A lot of the constraints and a lot of kind of the barriers that prevented designers from really growing their businesses have come down. And we're trying to be at the forefront of that, just creating tools that help designers make more money, give you ways to monetize your taste. So one thing I'll add, what we're not is anything like what DesignFiles does. We do not do project management. We're not like business experts or coaches trying to tell you like how to run your back office. We've got a simple suite of selling tools, tools that help you make more money on products. What we really believe, and kind of one of the principles of this, is we just believe designers are creating and adding so much more value than they're making in return. And that injustice has bothered me for a while. I'm married to an interior designer. My mom is an interior designer. I've been working with or selling to or serving designers for almost 30 years, and it's always bothered me. But there were some good reasons for it. The industry really just isn't set up for designers to make money outside of working one-on-one. And now all these landscapes changed and there's all these opportunities, but there's still a lot of stuff in the way. So we're trying to create tools that eliminate all the barriers and what we think will unlock a lot of demand and help designers make more money.
Very cool. And just to kind of expand a little bit on that, when we're talking about some of the problems that interior designers are dealing with, particularly when it comes to ordering products, can you give us a little bit of a sense for how SideDoor is streamlining that process? What would be the difference for a designer to go to SideDoor and use your system versus having a number of trade accounts set up with a number of different showrooms or vendors and then using that process?
Yeah, well, there's a lot, but the biggest ones that jump to mind is you're coming to one place, which is a password protected marketplace. And inside there, we've got over 200 brands and all of their as shown products in one place. We've got all of the inventory for these products in one place. We get inventory feeds from these brands. We get all of their digital assets. We clean them up so they'll work with our filters. And then, I mean, you still can bounce all over the internet, but time for a designer is your most valuable resource or commodity. And you spend a lot of time on the purchasing, the sourcing, the bouncing around, the jumping through the hoops that a lot of these brands put up. We've tried to eliminate that. You come into SideDoor, there's all these brands that you can buy from at the brand's designer net price with no minimums and without having to have your own account. So in certain cases, like some designers on this call may have like a great relationship or do a ton of business with one particular brand and may get an extra discount, which is great. You should use that. But you do stuff with more than one brand on a design project. Like you need choice, you need the design, the clients change, the jobs change. We're trying to put as much choice, price point from high to low with as much categories as we can all in one place to save you time.
Okay, and on that then, you kind of mentioned high to low. So with SideDoors, with the collections that you guys have available, it's not just high-end product then. A designer is going to be able to find a price point for whatever type of client project they're taking on.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some filters where you can price by high to low, but the reality is we're still just getting started. We're trying to add. We started with what we thought were probably the most popular kind of trade brands, and now we're trying to fill in. We've got a lot of the more high point type brands in the app, but we've also made some partnerships where we're bringing in like small makers and independent kind of craftspeople. So over time, we think like the more choice, the more products, the more variety, the more valuable this is going to be. What our bet is, Sheila, is that like the internet, which is here to stay, is going to be like it already is the world's shopping mall.
Yeah.
And someone has to curate all this stuff. There's no one better to curate for people's homes than interior designers. So we want as many products, as many price points as we can have. The constraint is, and the choke point is, a lot of these brands just don't have the information and the digital assets that we need yet. For instance, we've got 60 brands in onboarding right now just because over time they just didn't invest in what they needed in order to be able to sell in this economy, which are easy, quickly accessible product SKUs, pictures, descriptions, images.
Oh, yeah. It's always a mess.
And the ones that have it are reaping the benefits. The ones that don't playing catch up. And we're trying to help, but it's a laborious and not fun process to get.
I don't envy you for that task. I know exactly what you're dealing with when it comes to collecting assets from brands, and it can be an absolute nightmare, but it sounds like you've been able to at least work with a significant number of brands. Can you tell me how many you guys have in the system right now?
Yeah, I looked this morning. We just took out 40. And that's because we're going to re-import them after we've gotten new data, and it's just going to be easier that way. There's 163 that are live in there now. We've got the 40 that we had, and then we've got 65 more coming that were already won just with digital assets and various levels of complete, from disaster to almost ready. So our team has to get all this stuff clean it up, in some cases even write descriptions, copy, and normalize it so it'll all work with our filters. But we've
Wow.
we've got about 350,000 SKUs in here now.
Amazing. I didn't think you guys were going to have to start writing up descriptions for products, but I suppose you guys probably didn't think that was coming your way either.
I didn't have a whole lot of confidence in it, but I didn't think I'd have to explain like what a CSV is or what a Dropbox folder is. Like a lot of these brands just were asleep at the wheel, frankly. And they have legacy business models that they tried to prop up, even though it's very obvious that things are moving online. And a lot of them, frankly, just underinvested in what they needed in order to be able to sell. They all want to sell to designers, of course. They just don't necessarily have the ability to meet them where they are, which is online. So,
Right.
but that's getting better. It's definitely getting better.
Yeah, we're seeing the same thing on our end, even when it comes to the 3D models, which I'm excited about because we'd really like to build more of that into the 3D software. But it's the same situation. It's just a case where many of the vendors just haven't invested in that yet. So getting those assets, it's tricky
It's
business.
a nightmare. It's a complete nightmare, but
I like how honest you are about
it's a nightmare, but it's also the opportunity. Like once you have it, the cool thing is once you have it, like it's an asset that designers can use anywhere.
Yeah.
Like part of our kind of secret sauce is we have shoppable links for all these products that designers can use, whether they want to just share it one-on-one with clients, or if they're more, really want to put themselves out there, they can put these links in blog posts and Facebook shops and, mood boards. There's no limit to where these links can go. And what we really think, we talked about this a little bit in High Point, Sheila, is what's coming with social commerce is going to open up a ton of new selling channels for the designers that are prepared.
Yeah, and I definitely want to touch into that a little bit more. Before we dive into that, I do have a question that I want to ask you because I've seen it pop up in our Facebook chats. So I'm just curious with the collections that are available within SideDoor, what percentage of the items available through SideDoor are strictly to the trade? Because I'm sure you're aware, but designers have clients that are extra savvy these days, and they're able to source the items online. They're able to look them up, find them at a lower cost. So I'm just wondering, what are some of the methods or options that SideDoor is offering to designers to help mitigate that issue?
Yeah. Well, it's a great question. It's hard to answer because brands that say they're trade only are also selling direct on platforms like Paragold. So
Right.
another way to answer it, and I can share this link with you, is the list of a couple thousand brands that are selling on Paragold. And a good many of them say they're trade only, but they're actually not. So with that said, what we're seeing, I mean, right now of the, let's say if we have 200, I'd say 175 of them are trade only, meaning they don't have a checkout facility on their own website. But that just means they're not selling direct e-commerce. It doesn't mean they're not selling at retail through other marketplaces, direct to consumer. So it's kind of tricky, but I also think the bigger issue is like the trade only kind of business models may not be long for this world. A lot of these brands, just like designers, now have ways to sell direct, and they're exploring those. It's the first obvious examples are the houses and the Paragolds of the world, where they take their same product that they say is trade only, but sell at a retail price. Because the volume and the numbers that these platforms throw at them are too hard to ignore. So what we kind of think is access ultimately is going to be universal. Like the reality is the information, once it exists, once they have it, is going to be out there. It's going to be online. It's up to the designer to use their skill, their knowledge of these products, their ability to put the stuff together, to curate, to, group it, and to romance it, for lack of a better word, because what clients are going to pay for is someone that can weed through all the mess and give them what they say they want, or maybe not even know they want, but put things together for them that's going to give them that feeling at the end of the day that they're going to be happy about, that they hired you for. And that's one-on-one right now. But if you can do that one-on-one, you can do it on your website, you can do it on your social media accounts, et cetera. So we're really betting on access being ultimately universal, and the designer, the creator, the tastemaker that's going to be successful is the one that knows how to carve out a niche, frankly, and use what's going to be readily available and put it together in a unique way. That's what designers have always done. They've just never been able to do it at such a large scale before.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. When it comes to, let's dive in a little bit to how designers are going to be able to use SideDoor and what they can expect to earn by using SideDoor products within their client projects. So can you talk to me a little bit about that process?
Yeah, sure. So if you're not familiar with it, SideDoor, the way it works is you just ask for a free account. We take your resale certificate, and when you log on, you have access to all these brands with no minimum, without having your own account. And you're going to see two prices in there. You'll see the IMAP price. That means the internet minimum advertised price. If a brand doesn't have an IMAP price, they'll have their MSRP or retail price in there. So one way to think about it, just the world we live in, that means that product that you're looking at, if everybody follows the rules, should not be found cheaper on anybody else's website anywhere below that IMAP price. And the brands that are more sophisticated are very diligent about this. They crawl the web, and if they find you doing it, they'll close your account. So there's IMAP price, which is if your client does want to shop you, they shouldn't be able to find it cheaper than that. And then there's the designer net price. And we don't manipulate any of these prices. These are set by the brands. So the designer net, or the non-stocking dealer, or the trade price, that's the same price that you're going to be able to get if you were to set up your own account with these brands. So you can still do that, and yet you can try to get a lower price, but unless you're doing volume, it's not likely. So in SideDoor, those two prices are shown on each product. You can download all the product images, export it in a number of ways. You can also share it, which I'll get to in a second. But how you make money on SideDoor is either purchasing it on our marketplace right there. You're able to buy any of these products at the designer price from us, or you can share this product, and we give you a embeddable link, a iframe tool that it's a little more technical, but we can show you how that works. What that means is you can share it. You can curate a collection of, say, whatever, Sheila's favorite outdoor furniture, and then share that with the client, put it in a mood board. And when anyone, your client or anyone in the public, clicks on that collection, they're going to see the products at the brand's IMAP price and be able to check out on it. So they're going to check out on a page that has Sheila's name and logo on it, but it's going to be on our platform. So when they check out, it's just like an e-commerce experience. They're checking out, putting in their shipping information. We give you two ways. If it's a designer buying it, you can have it sent to a receiving warehouse. If it's an end user, you can have it shipped directly to a residence. You also can choose a white glove option. And all this is priced right there for you. Then you check out. This is a long answer, but to answer your question, how you make money on this, Sheila, is if you're a designer and you share a collection with the client, they're going to check out at the retail price. We're going to handle all the fulfillment. Once it's delivered, we're going to directly deposit that difference between the designer net price and the IMAP price. We directly deposit that full commission into your bank account via Stripe. So
what's the average then?
The average across all the brands is 29%.
Okay.
So a lot of designers may be using Like It to Know It or other affiliate type deals. which is great if you got a ton of eyeballs on your, website or blog
Yeah.
or whatever. The problem with it is you just sent your client, your fan, whomever, to someone else's website. You just sent them to whatever, Crate and Barrel. Now they're a Crate and Barrel's customer. They're no longer your customer. And in return, if they happen to buy something, you may make 3 to 5% 90 days later with Like It to Know It.
Less, even if you're doing with Crate and Barrel. I think it's 1 to 3% that you get on those sales. So
Chump
it's
change.
nothing.
It's ridiculous. But
Yeah.
you also just lost your customer who now knows to go to Crate and Barrel next time direct. But the difference with this is still curate, still send them a link, but have them go back to your website, have them go back to your mood board or your Pinterest page or wherever. And they're going to check out. They think they're checking out from you, but they're checking out with these harder to find products at a retail price. And we're going to handle the transaction. We're going to handle the credit card fees. We're going to deal with all the fulfillment. You don't need to do a purchase order. You don't need to chase down a rep or any of that stuff. We're going to deliver it. After it's done, we're still going to directly deposit that commission, which in some cases is 10 to 15 times more than you make with the regular affiliate program.
Yeah, it's very cool. What I like about the SideDoor model is the option that you guys do have where you're allowing the client to do the checking out process. Because there are so many times where I'm having conversations with designers now where they wouldn't like to let their clients go ahead and shop the products instead of managing the ordering process themselves, but they don't want to give up that markup that they would normally have. So it kind of gives you the best of both worlds where you can let the client go ahead and do the shopping. You're still getting a really good cut on the product. You're not having to necessarily use some of those affiliate networks where you're only getting, 2-3% on the products. Some of them are all right because some of them you do have like affiliate programs where you can get upwards of 10%, but it's still significantly less than what you would be getting if you are working with a platform like SideDoor. So it's a really interesting model, and we're definitely seeing a change in client behavior and in how they are approaching designers. And I think that this is an interesting way that gives designers another option, another way to deal with these clients.
Yeah,
So,
it's the tricky part for us, Sheila, and I'm sure you can relate building project management software is on this call, probably there's 20 to 30 different business models. Everybody does it a little different. And
yep.
there's no one right way to do it. I totally understand that. We tried to build just the simplest tool we can that works in the most scenarios. So we're now being able to add things like now you can check out for your client and things like that if they want you to do that. But we're like you in software, we're constantly trying to iterate and build, and it's hard.
There's no end to it, Chad. There's no end. You designers, you all want different things all the time. We keep building, thinking we're getting closer to the end of it. We're never close to the end of it.
Exactly. What we're trying to do, and it's easier than what you're trying to do, I think. We're just strictly focused on how can we help designers make more money, and in doing so, grow their own brands. What's really frustrating to me is how these really successful, talented people are unpaid salespeople for all these brands, and they're sending clients and checkouts to ecom, which is essentially a competitor to them, or they're being used but not being compensated for it. That to me is like the thing we'd really like to disrupt. We think, the numbers are crazy, anywhere from 50 to 100,000 independent residential designers, people that are running a proper business. It's super fragmented. So because it's so fragmented, there's no real way to leverage the purchasing power as a group that designers have. So what we've done is tried to centralize all that. We've also done it with understanding what the brand's needs are, because the reality is a lot of these guys just aren't set up to deal with 10,000 designers or 20,000 or 50,000. So by centralizing all the orders and following their ordering methods and jumping through their hoops on our side, we think it's going to remove a lot of the choke points that have historically been in the way.
Okay. And just another question that I've seen come up on the Facebook group. On SideDoor's site, it mentions that there is no opportunity for returns. Can you kind of clarify on what would be a case where it would be allowed and where it's not allowed?
Yeah, I get this question a lot, and I found this stat. I read it. Let me find it. Can't even read my own writing. Sorry, my handwriting is terrible. But I read something this morning that said there's a 400% more likely chance of getting a return as a brand on e-com as it is in person. Meaning the end user, because of Amazon, everybody's been trained so well by Amazon, now expects to be able to order anything they want and have it delivered, in some cases for free, 2 days, and show up 2 days later. That's just not the reality of home furnishings. We'd love to be able to take returns, but we also don't want to go out of business. And it's been the death knell for many a startup, many a marketplace. Brands don't want returns. A lot of designers on this call may be familiar with some of these vendors already that won't take returns on things that they order. So we're trying to play by their rules. We're pushing back now that we've got more leverage. But to answer your question, we take anything that's damaged, we replace. But our blanket policy is no return. So if someone wants to order a set of chairs and they get there and they sit in them, but they don't like them, they think they should be able to return it, which, some would argue they should be able to. The problem for us is we're the vendor of record with these brands. And in order to be able to do this for them, we have to agree to certain conditions, no returns, et cetera. So at that point, if we are taking returns, we've got to have a secondary outlet for these chairs, or we could end up with a mile-long warehouse full of furniture. So somewhere in there's a way to make it work. We've been successful to date not having to do it, but we know we're missing checkouts, and we know designers need it, or not only designers, but their end users are expecting it. And right or wrong, that expectation isn't going anywhere. So we're trying to figure it out. But to answer your question, at this point, our blanket policy is no returns. We've made 24 exceptions in the last 2 months. But it's on a case-by-case basis. We can't just go out and say, buy anything and return it the next day. We're worried that the unintended consequences of that would be too severe. So
totally understandable.
Would I like to be able to do it? Yes. Would it jeopardize future things that we want to do? Yes. So it's just not worth it at this point.
No, things like this are always going to be incredibly complicated to set up. And quite often, I feel like when it comes to business models that are more complicated like this, it just kind of comes down to iterations, small iterations as you move forward, and then maybe something changes, and then you're able to open up to other services. But it's a long process. It's a long and complicated process, and it totally you feel your way through it as you move forward. So
Sheila, to be fully transparent with a lot of these brands, we now have some leverage, whereas in the beginning we didn't. So most likely the way this will roll out is returns on certain brands. And then brands that we haven't been able to sell as much for, then until we get to a certain place with them, they're not taking it back, which means how much risk are we willing to take? That's the kind of calculus on our side. And I assure you, it's an internal debate on a almost weekly basis with our leadership team. We argue about it constantly. So we just haven't found the right way to do it yet.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you'll keep everybody posted anyway as things move forward. Let's talk a little bit about some of your designers on SideDoor and what they're doing to be successful with their business. So are you seeing very successful designers that are using SideDoor, and how are they using it to create new revenue streams for their business?
Yeah, that's amazing to me. Just in the last year, we've paid out almost $1.5 million in commissions to designers, and it's all across the board. It's small e-designer in a small town, just working with, new clients, like a 22-year-old getting started. And it's a 8100 design firm using it, and everything in between. There's a lot of stagers that use it. There's a lot of very successful kind of designers that are interested in growing their own brand, that have a point of view. They may have already had like an Instagram following and a website, and now they're finding that with a link tree or something, creating a collection of their favorite lamps, then instead of sending all those people out to West Elm to buy it, they'll just put a collection in a link tree and get some checkouts. It really is crazy. And I wish there were like a playbook, but the common thread across our probably top 100 users is just they're trying different things. They're putting themselves out there. We see a lot of activity coming from Pinterest, which makes sense if you think about it. It's essentially just a visual search engine, if you will. And when people go there, and a lot of people do, like 89 million people a month go there looking for home inspiration,
Yeah.
etc. And now a lot of designers that are finding that just by putting mood boards on there with shoppable links, or putting products on there that link back to their website, et cetera, they're just seeing checkouts. And it's the passive income thing is kind of not real. Like there's no easy free money that's going to start flowing in, unfortunately. But the ones that are trying different things, like just doing this, marketing 101, putting yourself out there, deciding who you're going to be for, and then curating a project, a board, whatever, for that type of person. Not trying to be everything for everyone, but knowing what you're good at and then having the confidence to put it out there. When you do that, we're seeing like real results. People with Facebook shops, from people that just have a blog that just like to write about design, and now they're speaking about a certain new line, but putting a link to that product, and all of those products in a shoppable collection are getting checkouts. So it's a hard question to answer because every designer has like different business goals, but I guess the net result is if you want to put yourself out there, there's no more reasons why you can't. Like between Shopify tools like DesignFiles and their mood board, like it's not easy, but there's ways to scale outside of just working one-to-one.
Yeah, I think that there's a million options.
The reality of our checkouts, Sheila, is it's not exactly 50-50, but it's close. That's designers purchasing themselves, like buying it at the designer net price, versus clients or fans buying it. It's about 50-50.
Okay, very cool. I was just kind of curious if there were any kind of specific use cases that you had seen from designers creating content and monetizing that content. I'll admit myself that when I was redoing my bathroom upstairs, I totally went onto Pinterest and I was looking at all these different brass finishes. And the thing that always got me were the designers that said, here's my top 10 picks for, my top 10 favorite brass vanity faucets. And I was like, perfect, I'm getting that one. And then I would look at, sconces, and I would look at ceiling lights. And it was always these collections from designers who had created their top 10s or this or that. And it made it easy because you're like, all right, great. These look like good quality pieces and I can just choose from that. So I think things like that can be really helpful.
Absolutely.
I feel like, I was just going to say, I feel like one thing that I'm not sure about is I've definitely seen some designers create full room designs and then share that. I wonder how successful that is, because at the end of the day, that full room design isn't necessarily going to work for somebody's home because it's not based on the measurements. It's not based on the furniture that they have. So I'm curious, my gut would tell me that if you create almost like trend boards where you're focusing on certain collections or products, that's
Right.
probably going to be more successful than creating full designs, which will actually probably take you a lot more time to put together. You'll probably not see as many sales on that full design that you would if it was just more of like a trend specific board. But
Absolutely.
worth
Pinterest.
testing.
Yeah, and I'm still figuring this out also. We're coming up with a direct integration with Pinterest. I'm actually doing a webinar, or Pinterest is doing a webinar with us next week. I can share the link with you later on that if it's
Pretty
free.
awesome.
If you want to check it out. But what I've learned just from getting to know them, the biggest difference with Pinterest versus some of these other social networks is when you go to Pinterest, you're there sometimes just to play around, but mostly with intent. Like you were looking for you were looking for something.
Yeah.
And designers that are there that have a point of view and have done the work, like it works in a way that like you can optimize your boards for checkouts or just for browsing. And there's a lot of nuance, but I can assure you, and we're talking to them now, Pinterest is trying to monetize themselves, and it's going to be the next big shopping destination. I think their new CEO was brought in from Google Shopping. They're all about commerce, and social commerce. So we're like in the first inning of all this. I just think there's a lot of opportunities for designers to get out in front of it and curate and be kind of the tastemakers on there.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I do think that it's also just, it's such an excellent way to grow your business, to get more recognition for your brand. When people can see your name pop up on all these different social platforms, they see your style, they see what you're promoting. It just kind of really emphasizes that you are an expert in this particular field that you're working at, and it makes people feel more confident moving forward with you. So it's a good opportunity to just kind of like showcase yourself and your business, but also a great place where you can start just experimenting with monetizing content and seeing which channel is going to work best for you. And who knows? I mean, for one designer, maybe it's Instagram. For another designer, maybe it's Pinterest. But you got to get out there and you got to try it and see which channel is going to be the good one for you.
Absolutely.
So it's exciting. It's, there's new opportunities.
It's changing fast too. This whole social commerce wave essentially means these social media platforms are turning into shopping platforms. And if you think it's frustrating getting shopped now as a designer, wait till all these algorithms get optimized for shopping. It's going to get a heck of a lot easier for people to find what they want online from someone. Our whole intention is to make that someone be the designers. And we think there's enough of them out there. If we give them the right tools and help them kind of optimize for monetizing their taste, we think it's an enormous opportunity.
Totally agree. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, Chad, why don't we'll take a pause on our questions and then let's open it up to the audience here, because this chat feed is just going off the hook here. So I'm going to start looking through this and we'll see if we can find some questions that we haven't quite covered yet. So let's see here. Okay, I've got a question about shipping. So is there a standard flat rate that you guys have, or does it vary based on the order?
It's fixed. So you can see the exact breakdown at checkout. If you're shipping to a receiving warehouse, it's going to be a flat 12% of the total designer price of your cart. So at checkout, I can't show it to you. We're not sharing screens, but you'll see what the totals are. If you're checking out as a designer, you're going to see your designer net price, and you'll see fixed 12% to a receiving warehouse itemized, or a fixed 17% if it's going to a residential address.
Okay. And I know, without even having to look through this thread, I know I'm going to get this question. So is SideDoor looking to expand outside of the US?
Yes. Good God, it's hard to get into Canada. We've been looking at it for 6 months. We 100% are going to be opening up in Canada in Q1 of next year. There's
amazing.
a bunch of stuff I won't bore you with that we haven't been able to maneuver yet, because we're drop shipping from potentially 200 different vendors across the border. There's just a lot of logistics to jump through, but that's coming. Jordan on our team is spearheading that, and it's going to be launching in Q1.
Awesome. That's exciting to hear. I did see a few of the designers within our group asking about that, so they'll be excited to hear that. Let's see here. Is it possible to filter your options based on local tradesmen to your area or to small businesses?
Great question. Not yet, but that's coming. We just got a collaboration with a platform called WeScover. Not sure if you're familiar with that, but it's got 2,000 local independent makers of various scale. But ultimately, we want to bring all the WeScover vendors into SideDoor. So at that point, you'll be able to filter by location, by style, there's also going to be some filters around vegan design, like sustainable products, organic, cruelty-free. That's all coming. That's been our master plan from the beginning. The issue is getting the filters to work across 200 brands where, brown means one thing to this guy and it means something totally different to this guy. So our tech team is actively trying to get that sorted right now.
Yeah, that'll be a process, but at the end of the day, like the end result will be amazing, but it's quite a process to get that fully organized.
It is, but they're through partnerships is going to be, I think, the way to go, because they like WeScover, for instance, has already done the hateful job of cleaning up these small guys' digital assets. So instead of going out to 2,000 makers individually and doing that, we're partnering with them to have a much bigger selection.
Nice. That makes a lot of sense. When it comes to the collections that you guys have on SideDoor, how often are they updated? Is it weekly, monthly? Is any chance it's 24 hours? What's the turnaround?
It's daily for the people that can give it to us daily. So we're updating our site every day, and probably 30% of the brands that we have direct inventory live feeds with us. That's how we can keep their lead times up to date. And when they introduce new collections, they give it to us in the same way. So our product feed is updated daily. Others give it to us weekly. Some give it to us bi-monthly. It really depends on the brand. Our intention is to have it as up to date as possible right away. But we're kind of at the mercy of the quality and consistency of the data that we're getting. It's getting better. Like I said in the beginning, like as brands get more sophisticated, we're able to integrate easier and automate more. But right now it's still a manual update every day.
Okay. Let's see here. I'm getting a couple of questions here about actually using SideDoor products and design files. And good news, I actually put together a video today. Cole's going to be able to share that video link in the chat, and it'll show you exactly how you can go to SideDoor, create your collections, and then add all those items into design files so you can use them for your design projects. So we'll post that video in just a bit, but I'll just keep going through and we'll address some of the questions that Chad can answer here while we've got him on this call. So let me just have a quick look through.
Sheila, can I preempt one?
Yeah.
We haven't spoken about how we make money, and that's usually the first
People don't
question.
usually just offer that up, Chad. You're just so like black and white, man.
Our platform is around digital transparency and easy. So I want to be clear about how we make money. It's, as I said earlier, you'll see the IMAP price and the designer net price. Below that is like a stocking dealer. In some cases, there's a volume or a contract or a container price. Some brands have 19 different price levels. It's part of the problem in this industry. What we're doing is setting up accounts at these brands at like a true wholesale price, or let's just call it stocking dealer. So we get all these orders, we place these orders at the stocking dealer price. You buy it from us at the designer price, or your client buys it at the retail price. So we're making the spread between stocking dealer and non-stocking dealer, or the designer price. With that margin, we handle the credit card fees, all the fulfillment, all the back and forth with the brand, etc. You can buy it at the brand's designer price, or your client can buy it at the brand's IMAP price. And when they do that, we're going to pay you the commission between designer net and IMAP. That gets confusing because there's a lot of, terminology in there, but we're placing orders at wholesale, selling to you at designer net. That's how that spread is how we make money. But this is also free for vendors, so they don't have to pay to be on SideDoor either.
Okay, very cool. Appreciate the transparency with everything. Okay, let's have a quick look through here. Will you grow into accepting custom orders of more items per vendor, or is the long-term goal to continue to offer a limited curated list of the popular items from these vendors?
Yeah, we, from the beginning, have wanted to launch custom. It's a technological challenge. What we're doing now is just the as shown or quick ship or, in stock items. Custom with all the variability and the, COM requirements, et cetera. Technically we can do, we just can't do it automated with these brands yet. So as they get more sophisticated, we're going to offer that. It'll probably roll out in certain categories. Upholstery is something we've been looking at a lot, offering some custom upholstery options. The industry, it's unlimited choice, so it's hard to automate and do that at scale. But yes is the short answer. We 100% want to offer customization capabilities. We and the brands just can't quite do it yet, but it's coming.
Okay, and just a curiosity, what can designers expect when it comes to lead times?
Yeah, well, that is completely another nightmare, Sheila.
I'm hitting you with terrible questions.
It really depends on the brand, to be totally transparent. They've got inventory that we're seeing daily and updating daily, and you can filter by, what's in stock on SideDoor. But the other tricky part is, now that we've come out of this pandemic, everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people over ordered. So now there's a glut of inventory, and it's causing a lot of pricing confusion. To what we're doing, we've launched a clearance section. It's going to be coming back on. We took it down. It was a short-term run with 5 brands. What we're seeing is a lot of brands that have too much inventory, and so we're going to have a clearance section with discontinued or overstock or special deals in SideDoor. Some brands have 70% of their SKUs in stock. Some have 20%. A lot of the larger brands that you're probably, common names that you're familiar with are very well stocked right now. And because of that, a lot of the surcharges they put in over COVID have been removed. So things are loosening up on that sense, but the reality is the supply chain is still very much a cluster, for lack of a better word. It's a mess. It's getting better. I still think all of next year is going to be somewhat disjointed and hard to predict as far as inventory goes. But the good news with SideDoor, you go to one place and you'll see what they've got. The average lead time, if it's not in stock on SideDoor, is 5 weeks right now.
Okay. Now I'm seeing a comment from one of our members here saying that they would just need a feature to know which items are trade only. So do you guys have filters like that? And I guess my other part of this is, based on what you were describing with the brands that say they're trade only, it might not necessarily be that useful of a filter because they might still be available.
Well, it might be useful, Sheila, and I can share this with you, maybe put it in the show notes or something. I do have a list of all the brands and the ones that say they're trade only.
Right.
I'm happy to share that.
That would be fantastic.
I just can't vouch for it because a lot of those same brands are selling on Paragold and other places.
Yeah, so it does get tricky. Okay, well, if you want, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
We can post the list, and then anybody who is interested can then go ahead and have a look through it. But yeah, it sounds like you still might be running into issues with those brands as well, but you can give it a try. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, so this question, we kind of answered this a little earlier, but Chad, maybe just touch on it quickly again, just in case there's some designers who had missed it. This designer is saying there are times where your pricing is higher than Burke Decor, and clients are comparing prices.
Yeah.
So
Also,
how?
yeah, I would love to try to explain this a little more because it's
Yeah.
so complicated. IMAP, like I described, is the internet minimum advertised price. That is universal, and no one should be able to sell below that. However, Kathy Kuo, Burke Decor, others like that, what they do because of the volume they sell, they're able to buy containers and get around that. By buying containers and putting them in their warehouses, they remove all the IMAP barriers. That's why you find things cheaper than IMAP on certain places that do a certain amount of volume. It doesn't make it fair or right, but because they do so much business for a lot of these brands now, they've waived that restriction, which makes me crazy. It's not fair. It's also why brands like Kathy Kuo, Burke Decor, et cetera, can offer like huge freight discounts. It's like a loss leader for them. By doing that, they're wiping out all of the smaller platforms because they know, just like we all do, that the algorithms and everything else are geared towards shopping and search, and they buy their way into those positions with their volume. So that may be overly complicated, but the short answer is technically no one should be able to find any of these products below the IMAP price. If you do find it below IMAP, then either that website is got some special backdoor deal, or that website is violating the brand's IMAP policy. And if they get caught, they're going to lose their account. But it's so easy to spin up a flash sale website, drive a bunch of traffic, and take advantage of these things. But it's not a long-term model that's sustainable. Doesn't mean it's not super frustrating for me and you, who get shopped like crazy. And it's just one of the many things that's inefficient in this market.
Okay. Thanks for kind of going a little deeper in on that one. I've got a question here from one of our members, and she's asking, is it like a one-on-one shop, the look, or can multiple clients purchase items? And I think that would come down to how they set up their collections. But if you want to touch on that, that'd be great.
Yeah, just real quickly, you can have a private link that you share just with your client, or you can have a public link. And that link, for instance, if you shared it with the client and she shared it with someone else, they'd also be able to see it. But you get to decide who sees what. Most people just go with public links because either way, your name and logo is on there, and you're going to benefit if someone checks out.
Okay. And then I've got another question here. Can you link everything on your site to appear as an online store versus connecting to a design board or a blog or a social post?
Yes, 100%. That's with our embed tool. It's a little iframe snippet. I know Design Files has something similar. With that, it's dynamic, meaning you log into your SideDoor account and can have we'll call it Sheila's website collection, and put all the products that you want to directly show up in your website. And then on that collection, you go to embed. It's real easy to find. There's an iframe snippet. You copy that and then paste it inside your Shopify, Squarespace, Wix, whatever website. It's going to show up dynamically in your website. So dynamically just means when you want to change something out, you go to SideDoor, Sheila's website collection, and add or remove products, and it's going to show up automatically on your website. You don't need to keep logging into your website to change and update.
Very cool. So that means you can keep those collections regularly updated so that you're not running into cases where these products are out of
Exactly.
stock. Very cool.
Exactly. And those products will also have lead times. So like the lead time changes. So you don't need to worry about all that. That's all done automatically.
Okay. All right, let's see what else we've got here. I know we're kind of closing in on time, guys, so I'm going to pick a few extra questions and then we will wrap this up. Okay, I've got another question. Will the boards and design files be able to be transferred to SideDoor boards? Just trying to distinguish how the programs will work together. So just so you know, Cole will be pasting a video that shows how you can use the two sites together, and it'll walk you through the steps so that you can see how you can get your SideDoor products into your design boards for your clients and then direct them back to your collections where they can just check out the whole thing all at once. So we'll be sure to post that link. Cole, if you could go ahead and post that now, I guess that would be great. And then designers will have it. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, this one's, I'm going to try to make sense of this one because we're covering a lot of different areas here. If I want to make commissions on Amazon and Wayfair items also, then I would need to use both SideDoor and Like to Know It, since SideDoor doesn't have those, right? So. Correct. Yes. Okay. I think I'm putting together what's going on here. So yeah, if you want to have multiple sources for your products, you can still do that. You're going to add your affiliate links for any of your Amazon products, any of your Wayfair products, but then you would also have your SideDoor collection set up, and then grab the links for the SideDoor collection for any SideDoor products you want to add to that design. Hopefully
Yeah, that's exactly right. The difference would be with the other ways, whoever clicks on that link is going to another website versus with the SideDoor link, they'll get back to your website or to a collection that's branded by you. So you're keeping them versus sending them somewhere else. Is one way to think about it.
One other note on that is actually also kind of a beneficial step that you would get if you had your design board made up of all SideDoor products, is that when they link over to check out a product on SideDoor, there's a link that they can use to go back to the full collection so they can check everything out all at once. Whereas if you're using, a product from Wayfair and a product from Amazon and a product from Crate & Barrel and a product from West Elm, your client's going to have to go back to the product list and design files and click the shop buttons for each of those individual stores so they can check out individually on all of those sites.
Right.
So that could also be an extra benefit if you are going to let the client shop the look themselves. Having the ability to just check out everything in one location is a lot faster, a lot more convenient, and you're still going to get a better deal out of those sales. So just things to consider as you're kind of making your way through it. I totally get that designers have multiple locations that they want to source products from, and you're probably always going to use multiple vendors when it comes to your projects. But making it as easy on your client as possible is also going to help make sure that those transactions happen.
Definitely.
Okay, so let's see here. We already talked about what happens when a product is damaged. Chad, correct me, but it's okay if the item is damaged. You guys will take the return at that point?
Yes.
Okay. And I think we're kind of wrapping it up here. I'm going to wrap it up anyway, guys, because we're 2 minutes away from 2 o'clock. I want to be respectful of Chad's time. You guys have a lot of questions. I hope that we've covered a lot of them within this chat. Chad, is there anything else that you just kind of wanted to say as we wrap this up?
No, I just appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity. Very active group here. Design Files is awesome. Integrating and working closer with Design Files is something we're really wanting to do, and we're here. We're doing our best to make this all work. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them directly. I'm Chad at SideDoor.com, and just thanks for hearing me out. Appreciate you joining us.
Super happy to have you on here, Chad. And yeah, just so everybody does know, we are going to be collaborating with SideDoor. We're going to try to make things even easier on you guys to get those items into your design boards. And we'll be making some updates to the browser clipper to make that a little bit more streamlined as well. So we'll keep everybody posted as we move forward with that. But for now, I'm going to say bye-bye, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.